Hey, it's Friday Night Fights. We've got a very cool opportunity. Of course, big events coming to our area. Collision and Dynamite, both going to be in Kansas City. By the time you hear this interview, that has already taken place. But the big event that everybody's talking about is WrestleDream. That's going to be in St. Louis. Very excited about that opportunity. Today, I cannot even believe I'm saying this. We've got on the line with us the heavyweight champion of the world, AEW star Hangman Adam Page. Welcome to the show, sir.
Howdy, how you doing?
Man, we are fine. Like if I had to read your accolades, I'd take up all your interview time. So I'm not going to go through that. You have a lot of amazing accolades. Everything from being in the top five wrestlers consistently the last couple of years to matches of the year and all that stuff that goes with it. But I'd like to go back a little bit for some of our viewers that may not know a lot about Hangman or at least your story. How did this kind of start for you as far as wrestling? I know you said you did a little moonshining wrestling, but like when did it start? Were you a kid? Did you see it on TV? How did you get hooked on wrestling?
Yeah, so I got hooked on pro wrestling, like a lot of people, I was a kid, maybe around 10 years old. I was always the kind of kid who, I liked watching things, but as soon as I realized I liked them, I wanted to try to do them. So like anyone else that age, we had a trampoline. We started doing backyard wrestling. When I was 15, I started traveling around with some guys who were doing local, independent wrestling shows. Started training to wrestle and started when I was 16 years old. Taking the weekends, after school on Friday, leave town and travel around North Carolina, hitting up little indie shows, wrestling in front of a few dozen, 100 people, something like that. And I guess never grew up.
Man, you've been wrestling for a long time. I mean, when because some of these guys, they get out of college football or maybe even the pros and then approach wrestling. You started at a very young age. I'm trying to think as far as training, what kind of training does it take for you to be able, like you've been in wrestling over, what is it? I don't want to age you here, Hangman, but it's got to be 20 years, right?
I think 17 or 18. I think I had
Wow.
my first match in May of 2008. So whatever the
Wow.
math on that is.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. How do you prepare yourself for that? How do you prepare your body? Because you guys make it look easy, and that's why everybody wants to do it. And then they find out it's not as easy as it looks. But you work out a couple times a week, every day. What's that look like for you?
Yeah, pretty consistently. I would say not quite every day. I would say nearly every day. I just finished a workout a while ago, and I'm gonna get back out there probably after this and hit another one. Yeah, it's. I wish people actually knew how incredibly taxing it can be on your body. Not just the wrestling, but the travel as well. It like all compounds over the years. I'm grateful in that this generation that I'm in of wrestlers, we are generally maybe more healthy than other generations in the past, maybe any other. So looking forward to my body holding up ideally, through the rest of
Yeah.
my life. But I know that I will pay for these sins at some point. But right now I'm, you know, more or less pretty healthy.
Well, I mean, you look amazing in the ring, and again, the things you're able to accomplish are, I mean, it speaks for itself. And since you kind of opened up the door a little bit about today's wrestler and being able to protect your guys a little bit better than what we've done in the past, can you talk about some of the? You've always been a very open book about your experiences, and I know, um, I think people would benefit from hearing from you some of your ups and downs that you've experienced. It's not always, I mean, you've got a lot of ups and it looks very glamorous, but it's not always been that for you.
No, not really. Plenty of ups and downs, throughout my career. I mean, I guess 17 years is kind of hard to encapsulate in a minute or two, but I guess I'll focus on AEW. I got started here and almost right out of the gate ended up in, a match to crown the very first world champion. So I put a ton of pressure on myself then
Yeah.
and failed, and I let that failure eat away at me, my confidence. For a very long time and managed to eventually overcome that and win that world championship. I've ended up in, for even by wrestling standards, even by life's standards, an extremely personal, I guess you could say, feud. But an extremely personal experience with someone else named Swerve Strickland, another wrestler, which for wrestling fans ended up leading to what I hope they'll remember as incredible matches. I'll remember them as incredibly dark periods in my life.
Really?
But now, on the other side of that, I like to think that I am on the other side of that. I wish most of it hadn't happened, at least the personal experiences. But I feel, as a person, I've come out the other side better than I was before.
It's awesome. Well, and I wonder, sometimes because people resonate with certain stars and you really never know why. You know what I mean? You think you know why, but I wonder with you, like, I really thought about this before the interview, and I just think that you being so open and honest, you're not the repo man. No offense to the repo man, but I mean, you're Adam Page, and people can resonate or connect with your trials and tribulations as well. It makes you a real person. And to see you overcome that really gives everybody hope. And I think that's where I want to go just real quick with Adam and the Golden Horseshoe. I'll be honest, I didn't even know this was out. But when I looked at it and I took the read, it was like, man, this is really cool. I mean, what is Adam and the Golden Horseshoe for you? I mean, why did you put this out?
So yeah, I wrote a children's book. I think it was 2019. It may have come out that year. It's still available. You can find it online. Yeah, I wrote a children's book. This is before I had kids of my own. It was a great experience. It was way harder than I would have imagined to write a children's book. You think you keep the words and the sentences and the story fairly simple, but it is difficult to do. That makes it almost more difficult. Um, but it was a story about self-confidence and a story about largely how I felt about myself at the time, um, and maybe a little bit of a story about you know how I wanted to see myself, what I wanted to see out of myself. So I worked with an editor and an illustrator who did a tremendous job. It's a great children's book. I think, my sons, or at least my oldest, wants to read it quite often, um, which is a really strange experience reading a book that I remember writing to my own kids. Um, but it's really cool. It's a really cool thing to get to do.
Well, and if you get a chance, again, we'll put a link up on our Facebook and our website so you guys can find this. It is available on Amazon, super easy. So it's a good read, and even for an adult. I love this story, and again, I think it gives us a little insight to you, the person, as well. You know what I mean? It's very reflective. So
Oh, I
let's see here.
appreciate that.
Oh man, I do too. Thank you. Let's talk about Texas because, well, no, before we go there, um, where did I want to go from here? I wanted to ask you about this. Again, we talked about highs and lows. You've been through a lot in your short career. I mean, 16, 17 years. When you think about all the things you've experienced from your first match to some of the stuff you did with Swerve, some of those Texas death matches, and then it was that night in Texas. I was there. Luckily, we were all there at All In when you went up against John Moxley and you were able to bring that belt home again. And I remember something that you said stuck with me when you said it's one thing to win the belt, but when you haven't done it before, you don't know what tomorrow morning looks like. You don't know what those days following look like. So it's a different experience. And it might be a good experience, it might not be. But you said, I've done this before and I know what tomorrow morning looks like. Well, as of this recording today, this is day 90 of your reign as heavyweight champion. And I just want to ask you, how have your mornings been since you won that belt in Texas? How has the grind been?
From a mental standpoint, they've been great. To wake up as world champion. Um, I like to think that people have enjoyed, the matches that I've been able to have as world champion. From a physical standpoint, maybe not as good, but it's what I knew would be the case. This is the cost. I've had my neck fairly targeted, especially by Kyle Fletcher, and that's something that has not Has not healed the best. So that's kind of bothering me, you know. But that's the price. I understand that. It's certainly worth it. And
Yeah.
that's a price that all of us pay one way or the other. But to be able to carry that world championship, to bring it to television every week, I travel with it. It is funny to go through TSA with it. But yeah, I'm glad to be where I'm at.
All right, I've only got like two more questions. I'll get this
Sure.
wrapped up for you. One is, this is just because I'm a complete mark, and and I want to know what's it like when you've captured that belt. Maybe it's after the match July 30th that you had with John Moxley, where you've beaten him again, even after you had won the belt from him. What's it like when you're holding that belt up and people are chanting, "Cowboy, you know what?" And you're in the middle of the ring, and that's all for you. It's all us fans telling you thank you for what you're going through in the ring and what you go through outside the ring to bring us this type of entertainment.
It's gratifying and it makes it worth it.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, for all of us, not just myself, but for all of us, this is the job that we do to provide for our families. But I feel like in life, often that is not enough to make you feel fulfilled, as a person. But that kind of reception from our audience is that's the kind of the piece that really makes it all worth it. That makes it seem like I'm on the right path. That I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in life. That gives you the feeling that you can't find from money. That you can't find
yeah.
from really anything else. I'll chase that feeling forever.
Well, I tell you, it's again, it's great to watch in the ring and outside the ring. It's just, it's very entertaining, very believable. We love your person that you. Well, I can't even say the character. We love the person that you are, and I think again, that's why you're absolutely one of the fan favorites. Two more. Okay, this is it. I promise. I
You're
wanted
good.
to ask you about WrestleDream
Take your
because this
time.
is intense. I mean, Samoa Joe. I mean, they chant Joe's going to kill you. I mean, he's known for that. What's that like knowing, first of all, every match you've had since All In that I've seen has just been a barn burner. I mean, every one of them really testing you. Like you said, your neck's injured a little bit now. What's it going to look like in St. Louis when Joe gets a hold of you? Whether you win or lose, it's going to be tough on you.
Samoa Joe is, I don't want to age him, but he is someone that, as a teenager at least, I watched, coming up as a fan of wrestling. So he's been around the block. He's been world champion. He's been a world champion all over. He's been a world champion in AEW before. Um, he is gigantic. He is tough. He is hard hitting. I make no. I guess I'm not going to approach this with the idea that I'm not going to get my ass kicked at some point. I will. I will get torn to shreds. I'm sure of it. With an opponent like Joe, it's going to happen. But I told him to his face this past week that for every shot he got on me, I'd get two. And the longer this match goes, the more I think it would be in my favor because he's not going to outlast me. I've given so much of myself before, to win this championship, what it took, this Texas Death Match. I've been in the ring with Brian Danielson, one of the best wrestlers in the world, for an entire hour.
Yeah.
Uh, he's not going to outlast me, and that's not to discredit him, but that's just a reminder to him of who I am and what I'm capable of. I'm going to have to endure a lot to survive this one, but I feel good about my chances.
Well, that's incredible. And of course, we're going to be there to capture that action. And we're giving our fans and our audience an opportunity to win tickets to both the Kansas City show and the St. Louis show. So you'll have a chance to see Hangman defend that title right there in St. Louis. This is absolutely it, I promise. And I'll get you out here. With other promotions, I'm not going to mention anything specific, but with other promotions, you hear a lot of the professional talk out there, not me, but other pros that have watched wrestling for a long time think that maybe their fans or the people that they work for aren't as happy with their product as they have been in the past. Does AEW feel like right now you have an opportunity to really advance in the industry as far as a brand? Because as a fan, I really feel that there is. And by what I've seen on TV and at your pay-per-views for the last year, I would have to say you do recognize it, and you've been moving that ball every day. But do you feel like that?
Yeah, I'm not going to, speak ill of, the work that other companies do or the people that work there do. I know plenty of them and think very highly of them. But I do think that AEW provides something that you can't get anywhere else in the world, and I don't know that you've ever been able to. I think this is kind of the height of professional wrestling thus far. It will continue to evolve and change, and I hope that we continue to be the standard bearer in how good professional wrestling can be. I think if you're a fan of wrestling or have been a fan, and maybe you're just not as into it anymore, I think this is an incredible place to start tuning into. And should we ever come around to your town, your city, I know we're going to be in Kansas City, we're going to be in St. Louis. If you ever get the chance to see AEW live, I promise you, I'm not saying this as a company shill or anything like that. I genuinely mean it is the best live entertainment there is in the world. There is everything in an AEW wrestling show. So I think we are all, I know I am. I think genuinely, generally, we are all very focused on what we do here, to make it as good as possible. And I think that shows.
Absolutely. And that's why we are such huge fans of not only AEW, but the absolute best in the world. He is the standard bearer right now. He's the heavyweight champion of the world, AEW star Hangman Adam Page. Thank you so much, man, for opening up and spending time with us. We wish you the best of luck at WrestleDream, okay?
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Man,
it.
I hope to talk to you again soon.
I do too.